Have you ever looked at the person you love and thought, you're right here, but somehow you're not? It starts small. He's distracted. He's forgetting little things. His phone never leaves his side anymore. The energy shifts. It's subtle, almost unnoticeable, but your intuition starts whispering. And it doesn't go away. You're not crazy. You're not paranoid. You're picking up on something real. And tonight we're going to talk about it. In this video, I'm pulling back the curtain on the 5 things a man does when he's hiding another woman. And I guarantee it's not the usual surface level stuff you've heard before. These are the deep psychological signs women often overlook until it's too late. And listen closely. This isn't about shaming men or jumping to conclusions. It's about recognizing the patterns, trusting your instincts, and reclaiming your peace before emotional damage takes its toll. Because here's the truth. When a man has someone else in his life, his behavior changes, whether he realizes it or not. And no matter how carefully he tries to hide it, you'll feel it first, long before you see it. So if your gut is screaming, but your heart is holding back, don't scroll away. The signs we're breaking down in this video could be the clarity you've been needing. This could be the conversation that wakes you up, protects you, and sets you free. Let's get into it. Emotional unavailability is one of the first and most painful signs a man might be hiding another woman. And the worst part, it often creeps in quietly. There's no big announcement, no fight, no warning. One day he's present, affectionate, involved, and then something shifts. Suddenly he's distant. His responses get shorter. His eyes stop meeting yours. And even when he's physically next to you, it feels like he's a million miles away. You start noticing he no longer asks how your day was, or if he does, it's robotic. He's not interested in the small details that used to matter. The emotional check-ins, the playful banter, the late-night conversations that made you feel seen. Gone. It's like the emotional thread that once connected you two has started to unravel, and you're the only one trying to tie it back together. But here's the part that hurts. You'll blame yourself at first. You'll wonder if you're being too needy, too emotional, too sensitive. You might even overcompensate, trying to win his attention back, trying to be more patient, more understanding, more easygoing. But the truth is, emotional unavailability is rarely about you. When a man is hiding another woman, he often starts to withdraw emotionally from you because his emotional energy is being redirected. He's compartmentalizing, trying to be 2 different people in 2 different relationships. And in doing that, you get what's left over, the bare minimum. You'll notice he avoids vulnerable conversations. He might shut down when you express your feelings, change the subject, or give generic reassurances like you're overthinking. But if another woman is in the picture, he can't connect with you the same way, because part of him is already somewhere else emotionally. Whether he's catching feelings for her or just distracted by the secrecy, you feel the emotional gap, and it grows wider every day. Another subtle sign? He stops being curious about your inner world. He doesn't ask how you're feeling anymore. Doesn't notice when something's off with you. When a man is emotionally checked in, he's tuned into your energy. When he's hiding someone else, that emotional connection becomes a liability, something he has to distance himself from, because getting too close to you feels like guilt. And it's not always coldness either. Sometimes he becomes oddly polite, overly neutral. He might act nice, but it's distant. He gives just enough so you won't ask too many questions, but not enough for you to feel emotionally safe. So what do you do? First, don't gaslight yourself. If your heart feels a disconnect, listen to it. Don't beg for closeness. Observe, take note. Emotional unavailability isn't always a character flaw. It's often a symptom of emotional dishonesty. And sometimes the truth is, he's already giving pieces of himself to someone else. That's why you feel the freeze. Trust the chill. One of the biggest red flags that often goes unnoticed until it's too late is a sudden change in how he uses his phone. And not just the obvious stuff like hiding messages or deleting calls. We're talking about the small but deliberate shifts in behavior that signal something deeper is happening behind the screen. Maybe he used to leave his phone face up on the table without a second thought, and now it's always face down. That little flip may not seem like much at first, but it's not about protecting the screen. It's about hiding the notifications. He doesn't want you to see who's texting, or worse, what they're saying. Or suddenly, there's a password where there wasn't one before, and if there was always a lock screen, now he's changed the code and guards it like it holds national secrets. The moment you walk into the room, he flips the screen off or slips the phone into his pocket like it's second nature. He's no longer relaxed with it. He's protective, almost possessive. Then there's the constant need to take his phone everywhere, to the bathroom, to the kitchen, even when it's just the two of you at home. It used to sit on the charger or stay on the couch. Now it moves with him, like an extension of his hand. That's not convenience, it's concealment. And you notice other little things too. A sudden shift in how often he's on his phone when you're around. Either he's on it more than usual, texting with a smile he won't explain, or he's on it less, suspiciously so, like he's trying to act normal. But it feels forced, like he's overcorrecting. The communication patterns change too. Maybe he starts texting less when he's away from you, giving vague updates, or delaying responses with dry excuses like busy or tired. The emotional tone behind his messages dulls. The emojis disappear. The sweet check-ins vanish. You feel the distance even through a screen. What's even more telling is how defensive he gets when you casually mention his phone. You're not accusing him of anything. Maybe you just asked, who were you texting? But instead of a normal response, you get a snappy "why are you always checking on me?" Or worse, complete silence and a vibe shift. That kind of reaction isn't about privacy. It's about guilt. Here's the harsh truth. When there's nothing to hide, there's nothing to protect. But when a man is hiding another woman, the phone becomes his biggest liability and his biggest tool. So his habits shift to protect that secret at all costs. You don't have to go through his phone to know something's up. The change in how he uses it tells you more than any screenshot ever could. If it feels different, it's because it is. The phone doesn't lie. His behavior does. When most people think of cheating or hiding another woman, they expect coldness, distance, and neglect. But here's the twist. Sometimes the man doesn't pull away. He leans in harder. He becomes more affectionate, more attentive, more perfect. And if you're not paying close attention, it might even feel like your relationship is getting better. But what you're really seeing is overcompensation. Suddenly, he's giving you random compliments he never gave before. He's bringing home flowers, planning spontaneous dates, maybe even saying, "I love you" more than usual. On the surface, it seems sweet, romantic, even. But underneath it, there's an unsettling question. Why now? Why is he trying so hard to impress you? Why the sudden flood of affection? Why all the effort to remind you of how he loves you, when nothing specific prompted it? The answer, in many cases, is guilt. When a man is hiding another woman, he knows deep down that he's betraying your trust. And that guilt doesn't always show up as withdrawal. It often shows up as excessive attention. It's a subconscious attempt to ease his conscience, to cover up the growing cracks, to convince you and maybe even himself that he's still the good guy. But here's how you can tell the difference between genuine affection and guilty overcompensation. The timing feels off. The affection isn't built on emotional connection. It's built on distraction. Instead of deepening intimacy, it feels performative. Like he's going through the motion, saying the right things, doing what a good boyfriend is supposed to do. But when you really tune in, you can feel that it's hollow. You'll also notice these gestures are inconsistent. One day he's showering you with attention, and the next he's distant or irritable. It's a cycle of giving and pulling away, because he's not giving from a place of love. He's giving from a place of fear. Fear of getting caught. Fear of you noticing the emotional gap. Fear of you asking questions he doesn't want to answer. He might even start doing nice things just after being unavailable, vague or suspicious. Maybe he ignores your call and then shows up later with your favorite takeout. Or he cancels plans and then makes up for it with a gift. These make-up gestures aren't spontaneous love, they're strategic damage control. He's soothing the symptoms of your suspicion without addressing the root cause. Another subtle sign? He suddenly becomes very vocal about his loyalty. He'll say things like, "You know I'd never cheat on you, right?" Or, "I'm so lucky to have you." And while those words sound comforting, the timing of them feels almost too rehearsed. Because he's not saying it to reassure you, he's saying it to silence his own guilt. Here's the truth. Love doesn't need to be proven with grand gestures out of nowhere. Real affection comes from consistency, not panic. If your man is suddenly acting like Prince Charming after weeks or months of emotional flatlining, you have to ask yourself, Is this love, or is this a cover-up? Genuine affection makes you feel secure, seen, and emotionally connected. Overcompensation feels like a performance you weren't invited to, but are expected to applaud anyway. So don't let the flowers confuse you. Sometimes the sweetest gestures are meant to distract you from the bitter truth. Watch what he does, but also feel what's behind it. Because if his love suddenly feels louder but emptier, he might not be loving just you. When a man is hiding another woman, one of the most telling signs isn't found in what he says, but in what he stops saying. Specifically, how he suddenly avoids talking about the future with you. Plans that once seemed exciting, natural, or even already decided now feel like they're hanging in limbo. Conversations that used to flow easily about vacations, holidays, living together, or even marriage become vague, uncomfortable, or completely shut down. He used to dream with you. You talk late at night about where you both saw yourselves a year from now. Maybe you even had inside jokes about your future house baby names or retirement goals. But now he either changes the subject, makes a joke to dodge the question, or gives non-answers like let's see how things go or why rush things. The shift is subtle at first. You bring up a concert a few months away and he says that's too far ahead. You mention meeting your parents next time they're in town and he says we'll play it by ear. Little by little you feel like the vision you once shared is fading and you're the only one still holding the pieces. Why does this happen? Because a man who's hiding another woman can't fully picture a future with you. Not honestly. In his mind, things aren't as certain. He's emotionally split, maybe even confused, and he knows committing to future plans with you means creating promises he's not sure he'll keep. So instead, he avoids them altogether. Sometimes he'll even become irritated when you bring up the future. Not because he doesn't care, but because the pressure reminds him of his own double life. He may say things like, "Why do we have to plan everything? Or can't we just enjoy what we have?" That might sound reasonable on the surface, but underneath it is a man pulling back because emotionally he's already 1 foot out the door. Even more telling, if future plans were already in motion and now he's trying to undo them. Maybe you had a trip booked and suddenly he's not sure if he can make it, or you were talking about moving in together and now he says, maybe we should wait. It's not just avoidance, it's backtracking. And here's where it cuts deep. If you try to talk to him about it, he makes you feel like you're the problem. He'll accuse you of rushing things, being too intense, or ruining the moment with pressure. But you're not pressuring, you're looking for the security that used to be there. And he knows that. He's just uncomfortable, because the future you're asking about is no longer aligned with the secret life he's building behind your back. This behavior isn't just disappointing, it's disorienting. You're left wondering if you imagined the connection, if maybe you moved too fast or expected too much. But deep down, you know something shifted. When a man avoids talking about the future, it's often because he can't see it with you anymore, or because there's someone else in the picture who's quietly taking that place in his imagination. So don't ignore the silence around your future. It's not just hesitation, it's information. If you used to be included in his dreams and now you're only part of his present, something's changed. And when a man avoids building with you, it's often because he's building somewhere else. One of the most emotionally draining signs that something isn't right and that he may be hiding another woman is when a simple question turns into a full-blown argument. You ask something small, something reasonable, and suddenly he's tense, irritated, or even angry. He gets defensive, not because your question is wrong, but because it's close to the truth. Let's break this down. When a man is being honest, secure in the relationship, and not hiding anything, questions don't feel like threats. If you ask, "Who were you texting?" or "Why did you come home late?" a man with nothing to hide might feel mildly annoyed, but he'll answer directly. There's no fear behind his words, just communication. But when he is hiding something, especially another woman, your questions become landmines. Every inquiry feels like a risk of exposure. That's when you start noticing that even the most casual curiosity gets twisted back on you. You ask, "Where were you?" And he fires back with, "Why don't you trust me?" You ask, "Why didn't you answer your phone?" And he responds, "Do you think I'm cheating now?" And just like that, the focus shifts from his behavior to your reaction. You end up defending yourself instead of getting the answers you deserve. This is classic deflection. A way to shut down the conversation before it gets too close to revealing something he doesn't want you to know. The goal isn't to resolve the issue, it's to make you feel like you're the issue. Over time, this pattern creates emotional exhaustion. You begin to question your instincts. You tiptoe around your concerns. You stop asking questions, not because you don't care, but because you're afraid of the reaction. He's trained you, unintentionally or not, to associate asking for clarity with conflict. This is what emotional manipulation can look like. Subtle, quiet, and disorienting. It makes you internalize his guilt as your insecurity. But deep down, you know something isn't adding up. His behavior doesn't match his words, his explanations are too vague, his reactions are too intense, and your gut is screaming louder every day. Another red flag is when he flips your question into an accusation. You ask a simple, fair question, and he suddenly suspects you of doing something wrong. It's projection. He's accusing you of things he might be guilty of himself. This tactic not only throws you off, it also muddies the waters enough to keep you confused and off balance. He may also minimize your concerns by calling them drama, or saying you're being too sensitive or always overthinking. That isn't emotional honesty. It's a man trying to avoid accountability. Here's what's important to remember. Asking questions is not a crime. In a healthy relationship, curiosity doesn't lead to chaos. You should be able to express doubt or ask for clarity without walking on eggshells. If his defensiveness is so intense that it leaves you feeling anxious or ashamed, that's not love. That's deflection rooted in deception. So pay close attention to how he responds, not just what he says, but how he makes you feel when you speak up. A man who values trust will invite your questions, not punish you for them, because when someone has nothing to hide, transparency feels natural. But when they're hiding another woman, your questions will always feel like a threat. You don't have to find proof to trust your instincts. Sometimes the defensiveness is the proof. So now that you've seen the signs, the question becomes, what do you do next? If your gut is telling you something's off, if the emotional distance, the secrecy, the overcompensation, the defensiveness, it all feels too familiar, it's time to stop second-guessing yourself and start making your next power move. First, understand this. Your power isn't in proving he's hiding another woman. It's not in catching him in the act or collecting screenshots. Your power is in how you respond to the pattern, not just the proof. Waiting for undeniable evidence can keep you stuck in confusion, silence, and self-doubt. But when you trust what your intuition is telling you, you reclaim your clarity and control. The next step, start observing without reacting. When someone is hiding something, they expect you to confront them emotionally. They expect tears, accusations, and arguments. But what they don't expect is your silence, your stillness, your shift in energy. Pull back, watch, pay attention, protect your peace while you gather perspective. During this time, document what you're noticing. No, not to create a legal case, but to validate your own experiences. Write down how he responds to questions, how often he dodges future plans, what his phone habits look like, and how his energy shifts around you. Sometimes reading it back will help you see the pattern more clearly than just feeling it in the moment. Then begin to build an emotional exit strategy. This doesn't always mean you have to leave right away, but it does mean you stop emotionally investing at full capacity. You begin redirecting that emotional energy inward toward your goals, your self-worth, your healing. You detach with awareness. That's the beginning of power. Start asking yourself the real questions. Am I being emotionally fed in this relationship, or just emotionally drained? Is this connection making me feel safe and seen, or anxious and unsure? If nothing changed, could I live with this dynamic long term? If the answer keeps coming back as no, then you already know what you need to do. Now, if you decide to confront him, do it from a place of calm, not chaos. You don't need to yell, beg, or explain your worth. Say what you see, say what you feel, and stand firm in your boundary. You don't need a confession to walk away. You don't need closure from someone who's already been emotionally closing the door on you behind your back. And if you're not ready to walk away yet, that's okay too. Strength doesn't always look like leaving immediately. Sometimes it's staying with awareness while you prepare mentally and emotionally for the right moment. But let this be clear. Staying should never mean settling. You are not too emotional. You are not overreacting. You are not asking for too much. You are asking for what's basic: honesty, transparency, consistency, effort. If he's not willing to give that, the issue isn't your standards. It's his inability to rise to them. So your power move isn't about revenge, chasing truth, or trying to fix him. It's about remembering who you are. It's about choosing yourself even when it hurts. And it's about walking away from the confusion so you can walk into clarity. Because at the end of the day, if a man is hiding another woman, he's already shown you where his loyalty stands. Now it's time to show him where yours does, with yourself. If you've made it this far, first take a deep breath. I want you to know something important. You're not crazy for feeling what you feel. You're not paranoid. You're not insecure. You're not asking for too much. You're simply tuned in to the shifts that many women try to ignore, and that takes courage. When something feels off, it usually is. We often get taught to silence that voice, to be the cool girl, to not be too emotional, to give the benefit of the doubt again and again. But here's the truth. Your intuition isn't a weakness. It's your wisdom. It's your built-in protection. And the fact that you're paying attention means you're already taking your power back. It's easy to fall into the trap of blaming yourself. You might wonder if you weren't affectionate enough, patient enough, exciting enough. But the truth is, someone else's dishonesty is never your fault. A man who hides another woman isn't doing it because you lacked something. It's because he lacked integrity. So here's what I want you to remember as you walk away from this video. You deserve emotional safety. You deserve clarity. You deserve someone who shows up fully, not someone you have to chase, decode, or constantly question. And if that's not what you're getting, it's okay to let go. Letting go isn't giving up. It's choosing peace over pain. It's choosing truth over fantasy. It's choosing you. The version of you that is no longer confused, no longer shrinking, no longer settling. That version is already inside you. This experience, as painful as it may be, is leading you back to her. So take what you've learned today, reflect on it, honor it, and most importantly, act on it. Because you don't just deserve honesty from a man, you deserve honesty from yourself too. You are not hard to love, you are not replaceable, and you are not alone. This chapter may be closing, but trust me, what comes next for you is so much better than what you're walking away from. And I'll be right here, cheering you on every step of the way.